Welcome, everybody. During my adventure of moving things from one side of the house to the other, and creating a studio on basically the quieter half of the house, I figured I had an opportunity to do a bit of an experiment. We've said it time and time again, room treatment is extremely important, because the overall quality of your recording can have a big impact on whether or not you get that part. With that in mind, I decided, what the heck? Let's go ahead and hear the difference with a room with nothing, bare walls, minimal furniture, a room with foam treatment, in addition to larger items in the room to get some of that noise, and then finally, within the booth. So without further ado, here is no treatment.
Hello. Right now, I am standing in my new stream room / studio with it completely untreated, and the only piece of furniture, my desk, my computer, and my chair. Recording on my voiceover mic, just so everybody can get an idea of the acoustics in this particular room. Once I had a little bit of sound treatment, I will do this recording again and see how big of a difference there is between an untreated room and a room with just treatment. This isn't the booth. That's still getting cut and installed.
Okay. Couple things to note here. I'm not using a pop filter. I am freely holding the microphone. And you should have been able to hear a lot of that reverberation, a lot of that echo in that particular recording. Kind of a tinniness, like if I was recording it on the other side of a can or something like that. The next step was, with the foam placed on the walls, even some left over in the ceiling, with the booth assembled but still not ready to go, I decided to do another recording, standing in the same place, same microphone, same cable, still no pop filter, holding it freely. I even added in a little bit of external noise just to see how it would do. So here we go. Hello. This test is now with a room that has treatment on it. There are panels on the walls, on the ceiling, and the booth is in place, although not complete. This should sound a little bit less echoey than the last one, but we may be picking up still some sounds from outside. I have a washing machine going, as an example. I am kind of wondering if it's picking up. Our next test is going to be with the completed booth, and we'll see what the difference is there. Fascinating. So that actually wasn't too bad. I don't hear any of the tinniness anymore. I don't hear the echo that I used to. So just adding in basically about 96 panels. I even had some pieces of the booth left over that I cut up and I hung up against the walls. That, I think, caused a major difference from one recording to another. Now, finally, with the booth completed, I did one last recording. Hello. The audio you're hearing now is from within the booth. There's now a dryer going in the background, and my dogs are going kind of wild. I have no more street noise because this is the new studio. You should note there's a bit more richness. I also have the pop filter in place, which should also clean up a lot of the plosives I was having in the previous two recordings. I also have the ability to hear myself because I have headphones. Being able to hear yourself does help a little bit because you can catch those little weird extra noises that you might pick up as you're doing your recording. So I think with this, it shows how important room treatment is. I mean, it doesn't end up mattering if you have the best software or even if you have the best microphone. If your room isn't treated, all that's going to do is cause a lot more of your imperfections to shine through. So be careful. Don't spend all your money on a good mic. Get your recording space set up. Even minimal treatment removed a lot of those echoes. But if you really want to go for it, the closet, the PVC booth, or even your MDF booth are great investments in order for you to move forward. I hope that helps. So there you go. Take that as you will, but I think I've been able to highlight the importance when it comes to making sure your room has the right treatment, because excellent recordings, or even good recordings, will get you really far into getting that part that you want. All right, without further ado, let's get the show started. Have a great day. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to ColdRead the podcast for voice actors by voice actors. I mean, the second one of my particular ones, it didn't really sound that big of a difference, but I mean, in compare, the first one was definitely like huge echo. So,
I mean, the difference between first and second was certainly noticeable.
Yeah, second and third, we'll see. I love that my washing machine didn't come through, or the dryer. That's good. I mean, this is a huge improvement to where I was before. Welcome everybody, ColdRead the podcast. If you have any questions, anything you'd like us to address, please feel free to email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. It's ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. We have Discord. Discord's always in the description. Feel free to come in and join us. We do video games on there. We take your questions. We'd love to listen to your audio, though. So if you have like a particular audition or something that you want to have somebody just listen over, feel free to send it. We give very constructive feedback. This is feedback that we've done to each other, and we've all grown because of it. So please consider taking advantage of that. So without any further ado, we're gonna address the missing person in the room. If you're not watching us on video, Renara is we have a Rip Nara day, gone but not dehydrated.
I love that picture so much. Just for clarification, Renara's alive and not as well as she could be, but yeah, we do hope that she gets better soon. So she is still here, perhaps a little dehydrated.
definitely under the weather. So it's just that season, not much that she could do. We would have done our karaoke time right before the show, but unfortunately a couple of us are under the weather, so we decided not to go with it. So hope we're doing well, Renara. Hope everything's good. So with that, we'll move on to our next host. Oh
God, there's a ghost here too.
Nope. Shit. Jesus. Misty, how are you doing? Oh,
I'm in a bit of a crisis, but I don't want to vent during the intro about my feelings about voice acting right now, unfortunately.
Oh.
I don't want to take time away from this, maybe later, maybe for next week. Since
okay.
since it's just going to be us, so maybe. It's just, I haven't really been doing it, and I'm not sure when I will get back to it sort of like frequently, because, crisis, so we'll see.
Gotcha.
But just to keep it brief, just been busy and stressed out about a lot of things, but it's in a very not overwhelming stress. It's just like just been too busy taking care of other things to do this, and I want to for sure get back to it, but it's just that kind of thing where the motivation just isn't there because of my life circumstance. We'll see what happens. Apart from all that, yesterday was my birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday.
Happy belated.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I actually did something fun for once, which is a nice reflection of just, I'm very happy how much my life has changed. I actually got to hang out with like a group that we go to the movies with, and they celebrated, they did it to celebrate someone else's birthday, but I was like, it's my birthday too, so I'm just going to join. And it's like, so it was a nice little thing. We just went out and had sushi, and it was fun. I'm just, it's a weird thing that I'm in. That's why my headspace is weird. It's like I'm happy, but also like stressed, and the voice acting thing. It's like I miss it. I do, but it's like I need to be in a better place, like internally, for that. We'll see.
I can understand that.
at least you're prioritizing effectively. That's very important because yeah, you could certainly keep pushing forward and move more important things to the side or completely disregard them. So no, good for you for recognizing that and dealing with it appropriately.
Agreed.
Yeah, maybe next week I can like elaborate, maybe to make that a bit of a topic. We'll see.
Yeah. If you want to talk about it, I'm sure we can definitely give you some room.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to be back.
Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it, Misty. Eldurrino, how was your week?
It was okay. Mostly just educating myself still. After my big kind of like brain explosion a couple weeks ago, and realizing that I really want to continue pursuing audio production. I was really I started watching this one course on Skillshare about microphones and how to use them effectively, and the differences between each ones. Which I mean, I knew most of that information, but there's still little tidbits here and there that I did not know. For instance, on my microphone, which is an AKG P220, there are two switches on the front of it. One of which applies a low pass filter, which essentially filters out very, very low bass frequencies. I had that turned on ever since I bought the mic, and I had no idea what it did. So I have a feeling that some of my recordings could have, been slightly better. I recognize that my voice is not as deep as other deep voices, so there's not a whole lot of low bass frequencies in there, but it's still changing the signal going into my interface. And so, yeah, it was quite the revelation. I'll just say that. No, otherwise, nothing voice acting wise to speak of. I submitted those lines last week. Guy, as expected, came back and said, "Holy crap, you're like the greatest voice actor I've ever met." I wish I was joking. He actually is like.
You're kidding.
I don't know if he's ever heard good voice acting or not. But like I don't know. I'm supposed to play an emotionless character, and so I think of Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad. And,
oh yeah,
and that's what I do. And it seems to go well. So fantastic. Yeah. So just waiting for payment on that. But no, otherwise it's just been a very relaxed, somewhat week of just trying to better myself overall. Good
on you. Well, thanks for being here. Personally for me, I did get some auditions. I got some short listings for a couple commercials. Unfortunately, one of them I didn't get. That was for a soccer commercial for Fire TV. I actually talked to the producer and they sent it over to the customer, and I guess customer went another direction, but it was nice. Out of the 90 people, I think there was only like 2 or 3 of us that got picked, and it kind of gives me a push in the right direction. I think like, hey, maybe I am doing the right thing.
Sure.
I'm shortlisted for another commercial for Chicago area in relation to some health and human services stuff. And it's both English and Spanish, so that's an interesting one too. So I'm waiting to hear back to see if that's going to happen. And outside of that, I mostly just did the Spanish stuff this week, only just to take it easy, because it's been the last couple months have been pretty heavy. There's a lot going on a personal basis, moving everything, trying to dial everything in. I think I just finally got power inside the booth, which is one of the biggest things that was holding me back. So I should, because man, it's dark in there, and if you bring a different light than the LEDs that I had, it gets so hot, it gets so stuffy. Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. So I think I pretty much isolated and got rid of the echo. So we should be. I think I'm good to go. I think the move is successful, and I look forward to. I feel comfortable about like doing in sessions here, because I don't have to worry about the car noise. I don't have to worry about a big car coming by, and it's just so unprofessional just to have to wait for what's going on outside to calm down. So
right,
I'm looking more forward to that. So I'm very, very happy. But with all of that said and done, and we love to check in on our guests. So I'm gonna call you DralenDragonfox, only because that's what you came in the first time. But Daniel, right?
Yeah. Daniel. Well, welcome to the show, Daniel. How was your week before we get into your journey?
Week's been good. It's been busy actually. I've been doing a lot of audiobook work in the last little while. I've been getting some pretty steady work on that, and I turned in 2 books this week, short ones.
Okay.
Nice. That's been most of my week has been recording, editing, engineering, all that, and turning those in. So it's been I have been kept pretty busy doing that. So
nice. Well, I'm going to get into that here in just a little bit, but before we get into what you're currently up to, let's talk about how you got started in voice acting. So how did you begin this journey of where you are right now?
In some ways, I feel like I'm still at the start. I was in the travel industry for 15 years.
Oh.
And then that collapsed near the beginning of everything going on. So yes, near the beginning of the pandemic, the travel industry took an enormous hit. The team I was on, that was 7 people, was reduced to 1. And I was one of the first people to go. I say first, I mean, like it happened in rapid succession.
Right.
So I had, a little bit of time. I had some unemployment benefits, and I was like, I don't want to do another retail gig. I'm in my 40s now. I would love to do, and everyone always tells me, "Oh, you have such a nice voice," and I have my customer service voice that I've used on the phone for ever.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that seems like something I could do. And so I took some courses. I signed up on Casting Call Club. I bought some equipment and sound treated my room. This looks like a studio. This is a folding room divider with acoustic foam stuck to it with
Love
strips. That's
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
You originally behind me, but this just like the space is just still not good for that. Even that.
Yeah, I need to treat the ceiling. That's the only thing. But so I did. So I sort of tried to jump in, and happily, I have a husband who didn't lose his job, and he could hold me up for a little while. And so I've really been doing this for like a year and a half. It's
Wow.
pretty new to me, and I have, they always say finding success in whatever career is being in the right place at the right time, which I agree with, but my philosophy has always been the more places you can make yourself be, the more likely it is to find that confluence, right? So I try to put myself in as many places that I can be. I was on some of the pay-for-play sites, was on Casting Call, go through LinkedIn, go through Twitter, ping people who are saying, hey, I'm looking for a voice actor. It's like, here. And, I've found work through that. Definitely LinkedIn has helped me. And
wow. Okay.
Just, put yourself wherever you can find places to put yourself.
Absolutely. So, I mean, so the year and a half, that's astounding to me. You're already doing the audiobooks. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, did you go through ACX or did you find these audiobooks in other places?
I've done 1 book on ACX.
Okay.
But and again, through LinkedIn, I found this freelance platform called the Urban Writers, which you may have heard of. They're primarily a ghostwriting service, so they will take your outline and turn it into a book for you. And they wanted to start offering narration services to their authors, to their freelance authors. And again, as freelance narrators. So I put in my resume. They wanted some samples. I put in my samples. And didn't hear back, pinged them. I sent them an email. They said, oh, we're going through all of the samples that everyone sent in, but since you pinged us, we're going to move yours to the top. We're going to check yours out. Had a quick interview with a couple of people and ended up on their narration roster.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I've been getting the bulk of my, and it's mostly short little books. I've been doing a lot of self-help and nonfiction sort of things, 20,000, 30,000 words. I can bang that out in 4 or 5 days, and
sure.
They pay a little under, industry rates for audiobook, but I sort of take that as I almost take it as like agency representation because I don't have to go out and hunt it. right? It comes to me.
Wow.
That's really helpful for me. I'm not real good at going out and hunting it, so
Yikes.
it's
I mean,
been good for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Outside of the Urban Writers, have you gotten anything from, say, like Casting Call Club? Have you done anything there? Or?
I haven't gotten anything. I think actually the most recent thing I booked on Casting Call Club was the singing.
Yeah.
For the little short one we did for you guys.
The mouse and the tabby. Yep.
Yes. I think that's the most recent thing. That's the most recent thing I've got from Casting Call Club. I have a couple of sort of regular gigs. Like there's a video game that occasionally updates that I do lines for every once in a while.
Ooh.
Oh, what game is that?
It's a very adult game. Extremely adult game.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which is fun to record for.
I'm sure. I hope you don't have like thin walls so that your neighbors would hear you during those times. Because
the fun thing about that one is I kind of have to do a growly voice for that one, so it doesn't carry as much.
I was gonna say, like, I live in an apartment, and my walls are super thin, so there will be times in which I'm recording the wildest things you would hear from the other side of the wall. Like not too long ago, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, "He must keep writing!" Like people on the other side are like, is this guy okay? Like,
yeah.
Anyways,
all of a sudden you get the wellness checks coming through, and
yeah. Could you imagine?
I mean, I took a class once, and the teacher, like a voice acting class, and the teacher had me yelling like some revolutionary and like bizarre like military revolution script that, and like yelling it at the top of my voice.
Yeah,
because he was trying to make a point about how you raise your intensity if you're already at the top.
Yeah.
Which, great lesson, but also I figure my neighbors must have thought I was fomenting some horrible regime change. It was wild.
Been there.
Oh my goodness. So you mentioned when you sent in your resume, you had some samples. Where did the samples come from? Is this stuff that you've already done, or did you come up with a demo?
Them.
You just recorded them?
No, I just recorded a couple of samples. They wanted a fiction sample, and they wanted a nonfiction sample. They wanted to know that you could engineer them to ACX standards, so they wanted you to do a screen capture of your ACX check.
That's funny.
So like, yeah, here's all my stuff, and I did. So for my fiction sample, I did the first 5 minutes or so of Neuromancer by William Gibson.
Oh,
one of my
gotcha.
favorite novels.
Okay.
Character work is not really my strength, but I can play around a little bit. For nonfiction, I did Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, just a 5-minute chunk out of one of the chapters that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they seem pleased by that.
Wow.
And getting me work. So,
where did you learn? Because you mentioned, obviously, when you do an audiobook, you've got to do not only the recording, you've got to do the editing, you've got to do all the filtering and everything else. Where did you learn to do that?
Mostly self-taught. I mean, I did a couple of YouTube classes. I did a couple of Skillshare classes to sort of get things like the basics down. But Audacity, weirdly, the free software, is probably the best software to use for audiobook stuff, because there's I don't need to add effects and like filters and all that sort of stuff. I just do noise reduction and cut out all of my mistakes, and then normalize, compress, limit, normal, off it goes. And there's even a plugin that checks for ACX standards, so it's like, easy.
Whoa. Is this 3.0 or is it prior to 3.0?
Whatever the current one is.
Oh, okay. So you're updated. I saw Misty.
I might be one behind.
Oh, gotcha. I saw Misty doing the happy dance when you mentioned Audacity.
It always makes me feel bad whenever people like bring up other ones that it's like I have to pay for them, and it's like, I mean, Audacity still does the job for a lot of good things.
Listen, I am kind of shifting my stance to the other side of the fence. I highly encourage, if you have the money, get something like Reaper. It's $60, as it turns out. I thought it was free, but it's not. It's $60. It's free to try, but you have to pay to use it. But in any case,
Really?
it will simplify your workload by like tenfold. I can assure you. You will crank out stuff so much quicker. So, anyways, just a little sidebar.
Well, there you
I
go.
also use Reaper when I have anything more complicated to do. If I needed to add stuff to it, I use
Right.
Reaper.
I mean, yeah, like in your scenario, it's a single track type of thing. Yeah, Audacity, of course, would be fine, but especially when you start getting into working with multiple tracks, so you need to add effects such as stuff in songs or even creating intros for the show.
Mhm.
Using something like that where you can do that simplistically is super advantageous.
So you mentioned Skillshare and you mentioned YouTube. Has there been anything else that you've been using to educate yourself along this journey?
Yeah, I've taken a few courses through Closing Credits, which is the school that used to be part of Casting Call Club until they split off. They're still associated, but I did their VA 101, their VA 201, their VA 301, and those. I recommend those to people who want to get into voice acting because they really start with here's how your voice works in VA 101, and here's how to make your voice do what you want it to, and then they go through like the acting, and they talk about Meisner and Stanislav, and all, like they go through all of the different methods and that sort of thing, and they talk about the business of voice acting, and what you need to do, and branding and all that sort of stuff. So it's really pretty comprehensive over those three. And then if you want to get really specialized, like I took an audiobook course on it and found out that I was already doing most things pretty correctly, but nice to know.
Right. Yeah. To get that confirmation, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. And I love the thing, and getting direct feedback and getting direction from someone live is for me more useful than taking an online course, like taking like a Skillshare or YouTube course,
Mhm.
because it helps me. There were a few things, especially in that audiobook course, there were a few things that I had been just like nibbling around the edges of. And I was like, I had all these ideas about what I could be doing, and then going through that course, it was like, oh, that really just sort of cements it all for me. And it's like, now I see what I was working towards, and I can get there.
Mm.
So that's sort of direct feedback and back and forth really helps me cement those ideas together and have a more cohesive plan.
Oh,
Nice.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Fellow alum, I did 101 and 201. Have not done
Excellent.
301 yet. I can't afford it yet, but I will do it eventually.
Yes.
Well, okay, so since both of you have taken 101 and 201, how did you guys feel about it? Like, would you well, I guess Daniel had said that he recommends it for certain. Misty, do you feel the same? Do you feel like there's any aside from the price point, any drawbacks to taking the course or anything within the course that you just thought wasn't good?
Honestly, and regarding the price point, that's for me. That's for me
Right.
that I can't do that right now. But
Right.
honestly, if you actually consider it, I can't remember how much it is for those, but the exact
It's like
price.
100,
But
150, I think.
it's very affordable for like
Right.
what you can actually get compared to other like courses out there, or like kind of like training courses. Very, very affordable for other people that might be able to afford it. I'm not in that position right now, but it's still a very good option, especially because of the length. I think it was 12 weeks. 201
Yeah.
is 12 weeks, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then 301, 201, 301 are both 12 weeks. 6 weeks, I think, for 101, just to give you sort of like a feeling for it. And I
Mhm.
think that they're at least the difference between the two is definitely what helps you sort of get a hold of whether you think this is right for you. Like the first one's
Mhm.
very basic, just like exercises, very basic vocal exercises, working with different types of scripts, but it's not as intensive. And then you go into 201 and it's way more practice
Mhm.
per
Right.
class. There's more classes dedicated to practice with different scripts. Then you get into not just vocal exercises, but really honing into different kinds of characters that you might be able to do. And always, what I love is there's a big emphasis, no matter who you're really taking a class with, on who you're actually doing this for. Really think about your audience while you're reading the script, and I think that's very important for any actor to do.
Cool.
Yeah,
any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was like, for example, if work offers a like beginner's Excel class, and it's like, this is how you open the window, and this is how you save a file, and it's like, oh my god, I'm wasting my time here. Is that like 101 is, or does it actually turn into like, oh, okay, I didn't really know that. Is it easier for somebody who's been doing this for a couple of years maybe to jump into 201, or is 101 kind of a necessary step? Either or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of on an individual basis, honestly. I mean, 101 starts with, learning breath control and learning, how to affect your timbre and that sort of thing. Just how the instrument works, right? Who did you have with Misty? Who did you have with for 101 and 201?
John Wing for.
Oh, you had John for both of them? Yeah.
201 was Brendan Hunter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had John for 201. I had Deb for 101, Deb Monroe. But yeah, she really went into breath control, super important. So, do your doggy pants every day, and do the enunciation, use the cork for enunciation, and get your enunciation practice that way. And I've used my voice all my life. I've been a singer. I've done all that sort of stuff, but I did learn things that I didn't know about how your voice works through that course. It was like, oh, I've been doing this. I've been talking my whole life. Now I know how properly. 45 years in. Okay, well, here you go.
Right.
Very cool.
Like with those exercises, that it kind of gives you it kind of releases your inhibition, or sort of, because you may be used to thinking, well, I'm a voice actor, so like what else is there to do besides just like speak? And it's like, well, especially with those exercises like the doggy pads, like you're doing them in this Zoom call with people, and you may be feeling like, I don't know, I don't feel like doing it. It's gonna make me feel embarrassed. But like, there's actually a benefit to it.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, yeah, you're freaking voice actors. You don't have to worry so much about your image that much. It's like, just you get the chance to have fun a lot with this, and it really emphasizes that. It's like, you get crazy, get creative. Don't worry about whatever other people think you look weird. That's not really gonna matter later. It's gonna what's important is really getting this instrument to work the way you want it to.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like subjecting you to that helps build your confidence. Like if you can do that in front of people, like you should have no problem getting in front of a mic where no one can see you.
Yeah, Deb calls it writing yourself permission slips.
Just for a little silliness.
Which is something I struggle with, because I'm honestly a pretty reserved guy, but like to be able to get in front of a microphone and be crazy, it took me, and I think this is pretty common for people who are new in front of a mic, is it took me a lot of time to be able to just talk into a microphone and hear yourself, because you sort of want to restrain yourself and you kind of go back a little bit, and you do that really. It's like, well, here I am talking, but like if I'm talking to a friend, I'm going to be talking like this. But what's the word I'm looking for? You want to pull back because when you hear yourself, right? The temptation.
That's the instinct. The instinct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally understandable.
Durrino, we're to learn that.
Yeah. Eldurrino, sorry, you were going to ask something before I interrupted last time. Do you remember what that was?
I wanted to know, well, first from Daniel and then Misty, any drawbacks or any negatives to the class that you guys saw, either 101 or 201?
Drawbacks. Well, if the if the teachers are busy outside of class, which they sometimes are. I mean, John Wang, who's one of the teachers, runs a voiceover company, right? Like he runs a company that does localizations for games from Asia. And Deb is a professional voice actor, and she runs Get Mic'd and the Ultimate Voiceover Survivor and that sort of stuff. So when they get busy, feedback on homework slows down a lot. They want you to do the homework and you have, due dates for your homework. But if they get super swamped, which happens, your feedback on homework might be a little delayed.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So I would say too that like really, if you can, because the classes are recorded, so it's like if you miss one, you can still go back, but just really try if you can to really be there, because that's the best chance you can get at getting that feedback, because of sometimes those situations where it's like you may rely on that in the beginning, kind of like, oh yeah, you hear that there's going to be homework and you might get some feedback and you're like, cool, I'll just do that and I'll listen to the class later. But then it happens where they do get busy. It might fall back a little bit on those, and maybe very last minute, right before the class, sometimes you'll get that feedback in there. And it's like, well, don't rely on that, please, because those are very, very busy people.
Right.
And apart from that, really, the feedback that they can give you while you're actually interacting there is very valuable. And I can't really think of any other drawback personally for me. It's, I guess, not really a drawback, but especially with John, it's just that some of the things that the script sometimes, or activities that they ask to do, will feel a little weird, because it's like some of the scripts, like I was asked to read a script because it was random, a script that was for like a ball cream or something, and it's like, for me, obviously it's like
Oh
but
my god.
just like, obviously you're gonna be expecting that you're gonna get into some stuff, but it's to really like, let loose and just sort of do it. How would you do it, right? So don't be afraid. Know that some things might come up where you're gonna be like, I'm not sure, but it's like that's the point.
Well, there
So
you
you're
go.
trying to draw
Oh,
that
absolutely. I mean, and I mean that is to a certain extreme degree, but I feel like part of that exercise as well is to get you out of your comfort zone. Get you
Totally.
reading something, whether it be completely off the wall or just something that is still within your wheelhouse, but you may not have visited for a long time. It's just to keep you flexible, keep you, on your feet, I guess would be the best way of putting it.
Also, the networking is really helpful because you're in class with a bunch of other people, and you get to interact and you get to hear each other voice act. And I've ended up in a couple of different, even Discord servers with a bunch of the other people that were in the classes, and we've fed each other work. We've said, oh, hey, there's this thing that would be perfect for you. Why don't you audition? And they get it. And it's networking super important in this kind of work, especially the freelance sort of sphere. And just having people that who are doing the same thing and have a different kind of presentation from you is really, really useful. And you also get to network with your teachers. And like I've made friends with all the teachers that I had. So Deb and John, I still chat with them every once in a while. They're, again, busy people. And the guy I just finished, Chris, the guy I just finished the audiobook course with, says he might have work available for me in the future. So it's like, hey, great,
Yeah,
that networking's invaluable.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've always said that. Yeah, because it's like your peer level where you get a lot of your work from too. But it's just the more people that you meet, the more that you put into that pool. Definitely something to always work on. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to flex those Twitter posts while you still can before Elon Musk completely destroys it. And we figure out what the next thing. I mean, I don't think we're all going to go back to Facebook yet, so we'll see what happens. Make those TikTok posts, put out those challenges, respond. Even TikTok itself, it's got a big VO community now because there's those people that are just practicing or putting all that stuff out. So always helpful. Go ahead.
If I may, I want a quick sidebar and say to anyone listening, just so you know, Facebook is dead in the water. Twitter is probably going the same way. And soon enough, TikTok will follow because the U.S. government is going to completely blacklist it here in the United States. So somebody, for the love of God, please create a social media site that isn't evil. Thanks.
I don't think that's possible, honestly.
Well, this sounds like a good idea of somewhere to start. Let's figure it out. But that's after the show. Okay. Well, Danny, out of curiosity, have you had any? I mean, we know you've done the classes. We know you've done YouTube University, which is great. Have you done any coach, or have you had a coach? Have you thought of getting a coach?
I have had coaching from a couple of different people.
Okay.
When I first was getting started, like before I took the courses, I found a coach here in where I live here in Toronto, and I took a few lessons with him. Now he was primarily a singing coach, and while I am like I do know how to sing, I wanted voice advice from him, and I got some from that. It was a really good sort of starting point for me before I started taking the courses, and then I also got some coaching from Deb, who I took VA 101 and 301 with at Closing Credits, and also a guy named Dave Beeson, who's a commercial VO coach.
Oh, okay.
And go to his website. He does like $50 for half an hour coaching with him, and he's been doing it for a decade. He's been doing commercial VO for a decade. Great coaching, honestly, like fantastic. Recommend. I haven't gone back to him yet because I haven't had the opportunity, and plus I've been getting a bunch of work. So, but I should. I really should go back and get more from him, because it was really, really good. The brief amount I had, but no, it's coaching is super important, just for keeping everything moving. You want to make sure you're getting different perspectives and different ideas on how you're doing and what to do.
Yeah, because you're getting a completely third party who's been there and done that, and absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Out of curiosity, now, when it comes to the actual editing of the audiobooks, you mentioned you could put one out 30,000 words in 4 days. Is that you? I mean, in the booth versus producing and mixing, how long is the process total?
Well, I mean, so 20,000 words is about maybe a little over a 2-hour book.
Okay.
Right? It's about 2-hour read. So the read takes 2 hours and 15, depending on how many mistakes I make. And then editing, engineering takes another, probably about 2.5, maybe three, depending on, again, how many mistakes I made and whether I need to go in and remove a bunch of crap in between words. So it's like it honestly doesn't take very long. My big sort of determining factor on how long it's going to take is how long I can talk in a day.
Yeah.
Because I can't talk for 8 hours to an 8-hour book, right? I'll be like this by the end of the day and for the next week.
Right.
So that's really the big limiting factor, is how long I can talk for a day. Because the editing, I can just sit there and just edit casually for a little while, get it done. But yeah, I mean, a 30,000 word book, 3 hours finished audio, is a week.
Okay.
That's, I mean, it's a pretty comfortable pace.
Yeah, it's not as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I mean, do you like filter out breaths? Do you leave the breaths in? I know some people leave them in for the more of the human take, and some people love to take them out. What's your opinion on an audiobook?
Well, I used to struggle with that, actually, because I did a lot of the sort of the gasp breaths where I would get to the end of a sentence and and I used to go through. Yeah, I used to go through and cut each one of those out like individually, and that took forever. It was wicked. And in this audiobook course, one of the things I did learn, again, something that I'd been sort of nibbling around the edges of, and he really nailed it home for me, was you don't need to breathe like that, because you can cut stuff out later. So make sure you have the breath support for a sentence or two. And if there's a gap between sentences, that's easy to get rid of. Those little gasp breaths are super hard to go through and catch, because you can see them. Like, they're visibly obvious when you're going through and editing. They're just a pain to get rid of.
Yeah.
But, like, when you're recording your audiobook, make sure you have your good posture, and don't close your mouth between takes. Like your mouth's going to stay here. You're not going to close it, or you get those little pops every time. And take a deep breath, and then say your whole sentence at the end. You're going to stop, another deep breath, and then it makes everything much smoother, and you don't have to, every once in a while you'll get a breath and leave it in for, again, like you said, the natural sound. But you're gonna be removing all those little and which don't sound natural and are unpleasant.
Wow, that's a good tip. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned you've used pay-to-play sites. I'm assuming Voices.com or Voices123.
Voice123 was the one, yeah.
Any success on there, or any? What's your recommendation? Because you're still, like you mentioned, you're maybe a couple years in. What's your take on them?
So I had Voice123 for 1 year. I got hired exactly once in 1 year. Yeah. I did Voice123 during their sale last year.
Okay.
So I got their lowest tier, like 25% off. So like the almost $400 tier I got for $300, right, which was fine. But it was such a fire hose of auditions that weren't super relevant to me most of the time. A lot of them I had to turn down. It's like, we want a native Nigerian speaker with an accent to do this one. It's like, I got that on my account, guy. Like, you asked me these questions up front. It's not me. So like they kind of disregard your keywords sometimes. It's like, none of this is me. I don't speak Spanish. I can't do any of this. And then one time I got hired, Voice123 was right near the end of my time there. I'm still there. I just have the free version of the thing now. But I got one thing at the very end, and it was an audiobook.
Now, see, it's funny because I look at Voices.com, and I've posted these a couple of times where there's an audiobook, and it's like 40,000 words, and they're offering like 6 cents a word or something to that effect, where it's like you put in all of this time and it's going to be $500 maybe. It just doesn't seem like the time investment. I have absolutely no experience when it comes to audiobooks. Everything I've done has been commercial, or it's been video games, or it's been character. I've never delved into audiobooks, so I have no idea if that's like a completely low ball. To me, it seems like a super low ball rate.
Well, the rates for audiobook tend to be per finished hour. And if you go by ACX standards, which most people do, an hour is 9,300 words. So little shy of 10,000. So like I said, like a 30,000 word book is about 3 hours.
Okay.
Where I'm at industry standard, like to start, industry standard rates are like $100 per finished hour.
Oh wow. Okay.
And that's per finished hour of audio, right? So that includes the time it took you to record it, to edit it, to engineer it, all that stuff. So by the time you take all that into account, that $100 turns into more like $30 per hour of work. Now the freelance company that I'm dealing with right now, they pay me $70.
Oh wow. Okay.
Per finished hour.
Nice.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And like, it's a little under industry standard. But again, I don't have to go out and hunt it.
Yeah.
Right. It comes to me. So I don't have to worry. Like, I don't have to count that towards the finished time. The one I got from Voice123 was a 220,000 word book. It was like 18. The finished book was like 19 hours or something, and they paid me $750. It was way below industry standard, but it was a fascinating book, and I really enjoyed reading it. It was really, really good.
Well, that must be good, because you look at some of the stuff that's on there, and it's either on the super businessy or medical end, or the super religious side, and it's like there's no middle ground. You have these giant words that are like, I'm just gonna pass on it. I don't want to sit there for 30 minutes trying to figure out how to say, a 64-letter word, and it just doesn't work out. Well, it's very cool.
Funny, actually, because I just finished a trivia book. I want to talk about long words. I just finished a trivia book that had, that Welsh place name? That's like...
Oh, yeah.
I had to learn how to say that.
Oh, no.
Book. So I got I actually have a friend who speaks Welsh, and they recorded it for me, and I played it back about 8,000 times, and I wrote it out phonetically so that I could read it. And so now, if I've got my phonetic pronunciation up, and I can't say it off the cuff, but if I've got my pronunciation in front of me, I can say
Which is funny because I just put it in chat, and yeah, I could, especially the go 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 at the end is right there.
Hell, what is that?
It is a place in
It's a
Wales.
place name in Wales.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So crazy.
How do you write that on postage? Like
there's an even longer place name in New Zealand.
Oh, no.
It's an indigenous word.
Of course
no.
there is.
Which is wild. That one, I can do it too. It's Tau Matafaka Tangi Hango, Ko Awa Tanga I La Turik, Hukaka Piki Manga Horanuk Opukai Fen Ouki Tanatahu.
Oh my god.
It's like, I messaged the guy. I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna make me say these words. He's like, oh, I forgot about those. We can skip those. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do them.
I'm committed.
Well, it's nice because it sounds like you have a lot of fun doing what you do.
Yeah, no, I do. I really do quite enjoy it actually, and I like the feedback I get too, because writers really like to hear their words said out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because the guy who I did the trivia book for was like, that was amazing. That's fantastic. It was amazing. I think a big part of that is just like I'm able to let his words sort of live a little off the page, and he's come back to me with a new book that he wants me to read again, another sort of trivia-ish book, and happy to do it. It's coming up next week that he's going to be that I'm going to start on that one. So it's interesting to see people's reactions to hearing their words that they've written, because they just want to hear their own words come back.
I mean, it must be super cool. Just like when you create a character or when you create a story, it just must be great to be able to hear that. And I mean, I'm sure Eldurrino can, because he's done some stories and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure you've been on the receiving end of that. Okay, last 5 minutes or so. So let me ask the questions I tend to ask. If you were able to go back and talk to yourself at the very beginning of this journey, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, more permission slips for myself. Like I would say, don't just be bolder. Don't be afraid to reach out. And you'll learn quickly. Just do it.
Nice.
A lot of time for me to take those first steps, because it was just like, I'm not very good at this, and I follow all these professional voice actors, and I can do that. Do it.
Second question is, what advice would you give somebody who comes up to you and asks, hey, I want to be a voice actor, what do I do?
Find your niche, find something that appeals to you, get education, get coaching on those specific things. Demo is important but not critical. And most important is to get auditions, to get out and do them. Casting Call Club is a great place to get your feet wet, but don't rely on it, because you'll find all those little projects from never go anywhere, and
all the Minecraft stuff.
Sort of the Minecraft stuff and Roblox stuff, and it's fine, and it's a helpful place to go and listen to other people's auditions and listen to who got hired and figure out why. That's really useful. And the same thing for something like, I don't know if you guys know the Ultimate Voiceover Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike. If you go listen to their all of the auditions on that site, some of them are just amazing, and they really give you you can really tell the difference between the really good ones and the ones that are you are going nowhere with that audition. And don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Co-hosts, any questions for our guests in the final minutes?
Misty, go ahead.
You think it was just delightful, really, hearing all those tips and everything, especially when it comes to the audiobook stuff. I've always been curious, but I don't think I can really do them in my situation with my closet. I don't really have a way to sit in there, so I don't think I can, but I would love to. And
Sure.
it's
Yeah,
great.
and they're not for everyone. I mean, it's a lot of reading in a row. Like it's a lot of reading in a row.
Oh yeah.
Not bad.
I'm used to I used to just read really ever since I was a kid. I've read books out loud, so just like I'm really used to that part. It's
Mhm.
just like sort of doing it recorded, and this whole structure
Yeah.
of it would be very weird for me. But I'm used to it. It's just a shame I can't do it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, you never know until you try, right?
This is true.
All right, so 2 questions for you. One, I see you have a cooking YouTube channel.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing to cook?
My
Ooh.
favorite thing to cook. Oof. It's very mood dependent. I mean, comfort food is always fun to cook. We've been doing a lot of. We got a deep fryer for
yeah.
Christmas last year. We've been
Ooh,
deep frying a lot
yeah.
of things.
I
There
We
you
want
go.
recently,
that.
yeah, we recently did deep fried turkey thighs, which is
Oh, wow.
just in time for Thanksgiving.
Yum.
Yeah.
And they're really good. We cook them sous vide and then dredge them in flour and starch and deep fry them, and it's really really good.
Nice.
I-
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing to cook is whatever I'm in the mood for right now.
Sure. I mean, I guess that was more of a subjective, like, what's your favorite thing to cook as of lately? But I mean, no, I've never had deep fried turkey, but the sound of it has always intrigued me.
Yeah, and like deep frying a whole turkey is not a good idea. Don't
Yeah,
do it.
well,
It doesn't sound like it. I know, like, well, no, I'm not gonna get into
I've seen
that.
some videos of some very, very bad things starting it from the beginning. So
Very very common that bad things happen.
yeah.
I was gonna reference Trailer Park Boys, seeing as you're from Canada, about Ricky's electric turkey deep fryer. Anyways, my final question for you is: what is your favorite pizza topping?
Favorite pizza topping?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know. Pepperoni's such a classic.
Of course.
It goes with almost everything. Like you can just put it. Yeah, I mean, probably pepperoni. I
Huh?
don't know.
Misty's
All
very
right.
happy with that response too. So
right.
There used to be this pizza place near where I used to live, and they did really really nice pizzas in an actual oven, and they had a little dish of like oil cured hot peppers just on the counter
yeah.
that you could add to and that was my favorite thing. I would put that on anything. Any kind of pizza, I would just smother it with that, and it's like turn every pizza into arrabbiata. It was amazing.
Pepperoncini peppers, or what kind of peppers?
I don't know. It was like a combination. I think it was jalapenos and banana peppers and probably pepperoncini. It was quite hot. It had
Sure.
quite a bite to it, and it wasn't just like a vinegary hot because it was oil cured. So it was, just beautiful stuff. Really good.
Sounds like it.
well, I'm sure me and most of the other listeners are all now starving. So
Yep. Absolutely.
we're gonna say thank you.
That's perfect. You can check out my you can check out my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There
What
you
is
go.
it? What is it?
Love your food. All one word. Love your food.
Nice. All right.
Ooh,
There you
definitely
go.
check it
Definitely
out.
love the name. That's a good name too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That's going to be our show. Daniel, thanks so much for giving us your time. This was a great interview.
you.
Yeah, we love hearing these stories. So thanks for the opportunity. Just as always, thanks to everybody who was here, anybody who's watching us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us anywhere you get your podcast. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, anything that you want us to talk about, please feel free to email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. Again, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail, or join our Discord. The link's in the description. Come on in. We're on here. You can send us your questions, and then we'll be more than happy to find you somewhere, hopefully, that can be answered. Your audio is always welcome. Please, we want to listen to it. We want to be able to give that constructive feedback, so don't be afraid to drop it in. If you want to be on the show when we do it, we can work all that out. Just go ahead and give us your audio, either demo or audition, or maybe something you didn't get. Maybe we can offer you some tips to help you all out. Next week, we get a new round of videos. I think we're out of sequence, though. Is that going to be yours now, Dorino?
No, we'll go back, but yes, next week is me, and then we'll go back to the regular format of Misty, Zamoody, Renara, me.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, Renara's not in to give us her normal sign-off, so I'm just going to say each co-host give me some words of encouragement for the people in the future, starting with Dorino.
All right, make sure that you never, ever, ever give up on stuff that you love. It is okay to take a break every now and again, but keep pushing, keep making something of yourself, keep having fun.
Misty.
Even if you can't really do anything with it at the moment, always keep that alive in some way anyway. It really helps to sort of be surrounded by your passion in just a little bit, even if you can't really do much with it. And always, mental health is important. So breaks are very, very important.
Daniel, any words of inspiration?
You can do it if you just do it. Actually taking the step to do it is more than 90% of people who want to do something will ever do. So take the step and just do it.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. And take this at least. Give yourself permission. Give yourself those permission slips and keep going. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Everybody say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Drink water.
There it is.